Let me say a pleasant good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Those of you viewing via GBN TV, good morning to you also. Whether you're viewing Channel 7, Channel 11, Channels 20, good morning. What about those of you via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning and welcome. It's Thursday, the 20th day of June, 2024. And you know what happens on a Thursday here on To The Point. We do in the various departments within the RGPF. And today we're over than the fire department with us this morning. Let me say good morning to my guests, of course. One of the usual being with us as always. We have Acting Inspector Hamilton with us this morning. Good morning to you, sir. And we have some making their, so what should I say, their debut, being on there to the point this morning. Let's say good morning first to, of course, WPC, Kathlyn Stafford. Good morning to you. And also making his debut entrance on the To Point show this morning, we have PC 19 Fleet John Sylvester. Let me say good morning to both of you and welcome to everyone. Let's get the newbies there first to introduce themselves once again. Even though I did say their name, but I'll give them the option of introducing themselves and saying good morning to the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Woman Constable Kathlyn Stafford, 193.
All right.
Pleasant good morning, everyone, to our viewers and listeners. GT.
Yes.
Police Constable 973, John Sylvester.
All right. And Inspector Hamilton, good morning.
Good morning.
You want to give the folks all the talk this morning? It seems all right.
Well, good morning, GT, and good morning to the viewers and listeners of the GBN. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
All right. Welcome. The conversation this morning, of course, it's one that's going to have some relevance this morning because, you know, the last few months we saw what was taking place in Grenada. We had, of course, drought on island, and the severity of it, we had lots of fires. The fire department been very, very busy for the last couple of weeks. Let's start the conversation out this morning in terms of the experience over the last few months from the fire departments. Maybe you could probably lay out some statistics for us, how things been in terms of the various fires that you had to attend to, some of the causes, before we get more in depth into the conversation this morning. Who's going to kick that off for me this morning?
I'll start it off.
You start it off. Let's go.
GT, the period January to May 2024, what we refer to as a dry season, was a very active period for the fire department. We had several fires which we had to respond to. The environmental conditions were conducive for bushfires and so forth. We had a reduction in rain coupled with drought conditions,
all right,
which further exacerbated the situation. Thus, we had several fires we had to respond and resolve. The team at the fire department throughout the island did exceedingly well in containing those fires. I must extend our heartfelt appreciation to the team members and also to the members of the public who assisted us in combating those fires. Throughout those operations, no dwelling house property was destroyed by fire, and we are very grateful for that. Our team members didn't sustain any injury. All right, notwithstanding the treacherous terrain we had to maneuver to combat those fires. No injury was sustained, and we pride ourselves on safety. It was a learning experience for some of our junior staff members.
Yes.
As they had their first baptism in wildland fire, a massive one. We had some major fires occurring during those periods. We had, for example, the Mount Kuma fire. There was a fire at Happy Hill, St. George's. In recent times, we one at Mount Morris.
Yes.
There was also a large one in St. John and also in St. Andrew. So the entire island no part of the island was not spared the wrath of the dry season. And I think our team did well in combating those fires, notwithstanding some of the challenges we have, but we did well. And I want to extend our appreciation to our team members and to the members of the public who assisted in one way or the other.
All right.
Much appreciated.
You did mention a word that sort of grabbed my interest. The challenges, I would say, for the season. What were some of the major challenges that may have occurred that you may want to speak about?
One of the major challenges was the environmental conditions.
Yeah.
And we have no control over the rain. We had a reduction in rainfall, thus making the environment more conducive for bushfires.
Yeah.
The terrain, very mountainous or hilly. So you have to climb up the slope, down the slope. Persons will surface, sustain twists and so forth. Some of the fires, the location, it was basically miles away, so we couldn't use water in some instances.
Okay.
So we had to proceed on foot to combat those fires. We had some equipment challenges, but we found ways to work around those challenges to resolve those fires.
All right.
In terms of water, we didn't have no problem for water. We got the water readily available from the hydrants of the National Water and Sewage Authority, which made some of the extinguishing work much easier.
All right.
Yes, notwithstanding in some other cases we had to use what we refer to as the dry method by constructing fire lines to prevent the fire from spreading. We saw some innovation used by members of the public, and it's something we're going to look at and consider for operations going forward and so forth.
All right. Because you did mention it, and it was one of my questions in terms of the limited supply of water we've been having lately, in terms of the challenges of having limited rainfall and so forth. And you did mention that it was not much of a challenge in terms of the supply of water this time around. So it was a bit of an ease on that part of it.
And that part of it, yes.
All right. Now, I'm assuming going through the process of the season, there were, of course, common causes of things. What are some of the common causes that you saw of fires during the last couple of weeks or months, we should say, that of course the dry season or that drought season to say was of course has created those fires? What are some of the common causes we saw to take place?
Well, from our observations, the common cause of those fires because of human negligence.
Yes.
People indiscriminately set fire to bushes and so forth, and the fire get out of control. They're not taking any preventive measure to prevent the fire from spreading. They're not creating fire breaks. They don't have a supply of water available. And during that period, we had a heavy wind blowing across the land mass. So you have the wind contributing to the direction of the flame spread, and thus you have spontaneous ignition of bushes within close proximity. So it was basically human behavior was the main cause of those fires.
All right.
Let me also hasten that to that several persons were arrested and charged for the offense of setting fires without notice given and setting fires on land with an agricultural land without a license. These persons will have the day in court, and we'll see how it pans out.
Is it a play where individuals were not heeding to the of course, the notices that was out, last couple of weeks? We had the Ministry of Agriculture putting out notices saying, that there was a no-burn policy and so forth that was put out. Is it for reason where we had those fires that were caused by individuals who were lighting these fires and then they become out of control? Is it because people are just not heeding to the whatever information that was thrown out in relation to that?
GD, in Grenada, we have a history of burning. It's part of our culture. And over the years, we have been trying to break people out of that culture. And we believe we cut away the grass in the yard, we should burn it.
Yeah.
We believe that in order for us to plant, when we clear a portion of land, we should burn it. We have to break that part of it. We have to look at alternative to burning.
Yeah.
So we have to consider things like composting.
All right.
Right. When you burn, you just only get rid of the stuff, but look at the environmental damage that it costs. For example, all these acres of land that was burned, they are more susceptible to landslide and so forth. Think about the habitat for the birds and other species that lives in those areas.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have to break away from the culture of burning. It's costly, and notwithstanding the Ministry of Agriculture had issued a no-burn notice, some people were still going ahead and burned. In fact, we have several persons calling the station asking. So we ask them, inquire from them whether they are aware of the no-burn policy. Yes, but I have a little thing I want to burn it in that room. and no burns mean no burn. You understand? And today the ministry hasn't seen fit as to lift the no-burn policy as yet. Yes. Right. So the no-burn policy is still in effect. We have several persons coming to the station, but a decision will be made in the future with the Ministry of Agriculture in consultation with the fire department as to the lifting.
Of the lifting.
No bond policy.
All right. Well, I certainly hope sooner or later we get into that. We drew for a break. Let's take it. We come back. We get into more of the discussions, of course. And I know there are a lot of statistics that our listeners and viewers are probably listening to hear about. Of course, the statistics for the last couple of weeks in terms of the fires and so forth for the year, this first half of the year. We certainly would like to hear those statistics when we come back. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. It's To The Point here, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Don't touch your dial, folks. We're coming right back.
For a burst of flavor.
Good day, Mom. What would make it easier for you to reduce your plastic waste?
Definitely incentives for bringing back plastic bottles, like discounts and loyalty points. It would motivate me to recycle more.
I think if restaurants let us use our own takeout containers, it's all about convenience, you know?
It would help if manufacturers start using less packaging altogether.
Better infrastructure, more investment in recycling facilities, and innovative solutions to tackle this growing problem of plastic pollution. It's not just about individual action, it's about systemic change.
With our population growing and plastic becoming more prevalent in packaging, we have to equip our waste management agencies to keep pace with change and handle the load.
There you have it, folks, straight from the streets. People are willing to do the responsible thing if we create the conditions for them to do so.
Recycle OECS. Green actions, blue oceans.
Are you a young man aged 17 to 35 looking to build a successful career? Glen presents an exceptional opportunity with its Rural Youth Training and Entrepreneur Program, RGPF, specializing in small engine repair. This program equips you with valuable skills in a high-demand industry. Don't miss out. Reach out to Glen today at 444-8430 or visit us at Lower Defridin Street. Kickstart your career and create a brighter tomorrow with Glen RGPF. Enroll now and pave your way to success. Classes begin at the end of June. Should you need any additional information, feel free to contact us on 444-8430 or email grenco86@gmail.com.
Spend $50 or more at any Hubbard's department or participating outlets for a chance to win free fuel, free drinks, free prizes, free property and vehicular insurance, free Hub TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free Dutch Lady milk, free passes to Sunshine promotion events for 2024, free groceries, all for one whole year. And every winner receives a free lunch package. But that's not all. Drive away in style in a brand new Isuzu D-Max. It sips, it doesn't guzzle. So fill out your entries and place them into the marked entry boxes. This promotion is brought to you in part by Dutch Lady, Danny, Promo, Supreme Bleach, Creative Chef, Grenlac, Floor, Salt Petroleum, Grenadian General Insurance Company Limited, Coca-Cola, Sunshine Promotion, Caribberies, Guap Bag, Sesame Spain, and Food Fear. Promotion runs from April 2nd to December 24. Terms and conditions apply.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of. Well, focus.
Cricket, lovely cricket, as we bring you ball by ball commentaries of the T20 World Cup. The Cut and Drive Network, in association with this radio station, are pleased to be a part of the excitement. Join me, Andrew Mason, as I lead a team of top.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Welcome back, officers, with me this morning on To The Point. My next question goes out to, of course, the officers who are, should I say, new members of the fire department. Tell us about your experiences for the last couple of weeks. The recent fires have been taking place, the experiences that you have had, if there were any challenges being first time in the fire department. Tell us about the experiences that you have encountered.
Good morning once again, GT, viewers, listeners. Well, some of the challenges I had, It was very restless.
Restless challenge.
Restless. It was restless. It was tough. It takes a toll on your body.
All right.
Every day you have to be out in the field. Little or no time to rest. Because as soon as you go out, sometimes you come back in, and as you reach back
again,
you have to go out again. And sometimes you're out in the field, and while you're out there, you get another call while dealing with a fire.
All right.
So it was really restless. Also, it was a real challenge for the first time to deal with such, the wildfire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that encounter, that experience, dealing with the wildfires?
It was scary. It was scary, but the experience was also great.
Yeah.
To go there, speaking about it is one thing. Doing little lessons on it and practice and stuff. But when you're actually out in the field, it's a total different experience.
That practical approach now is totally different.
To put everything into place, and sometimes you have to do things a bit different. So it was a great experience, although it was a bit scary.
All right. If you have the option now of sharing some information with the public, especially for individuals who may have got themselves into that particular situation, or probably contemplating getting themselves in a situation of lighting fires and so forth, having that first-hand experience of it, what kind of advice would you like to put out to them?
I mean, I would advise the public to adhere to the laws and adhere to the warnings that are being put in place, because at the end of the day, you may set just a little heap of fire, and with the wind blowing heavily, embers can lift and go to different areas and catch fire, and that could cause damage to a person's property.
Right.
Even home, you could have someone being homeless. So it's just something you adhere to, and you have patience.
All right.
Know that the drought season will be over. It's not there forever. It will be over.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. WPC, let me hear your take on, of course, your experience that you encountered during this particular season that we've been through.
Morning.
Some of the challenges that you may have encountered on a personal level for yourself.
Okay, morning listeners, morning GT again. Well, for me, actually I'm new to the fire department, so even though I was not on the front line actually fighting the fire, I was at the office, and the persons being out there in the field, I was there at the long hours just the same. The thing is now, while I'm there, I'm getting other calls. I have to deal with persons who is kind of frightened. A lot of persons remember the fire going towards their home. I have to calm these persons down. And then I also have to call the persons outside there and inform them of the other fires where they have to move from one place once the fire is contained and go to another place. So it was quite challenging for me also.
Right, so you were kind of helping out with the dispatching of the different departments related to the trucks and so forth.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, exactly.
All right. I mean, the experience in general, I mean, as you said, it was the first time you were not probably out dealing with the fire, but it also feels that way to a point, because you now have to have that capacity where you can deal with individuals who may say, hey, a fire is approaching my house, or a fire is just in close proximity to my house. How was that experience?
Well, it was kind of, for me, it was challenging in terms of, like, a lot of persons are sounding frightened and stuff, so I have to calm them down. I have to give them words of encouragement, even encourage them to assist if there is any way they can. For example, a neighbor called and he said his neighbor lighted the fire and it's spreading, and he and that neighbor does not go down. So I have to say, well, even though you don't go down with that neighbor, get a bucket of water, you hold that fire. Right. So, you have to speak to him. When you see that he's lighting that fire, tell him no. There is a no-burn policy. You don't go about lighting fire because it put all of us lives in danger.
All right. I mean, Inspector Hamilton, for you being out in the field, I'm assuming I've got into the state with your inspector now. I'm assuming you may not have been directly fighting, but you were out there. I'm assuming you were out there being part of the firefights. What are some of the experiences that you would like to share with our listening audience this morning, especially in seeing some of the new recruits and maybe those other stalwarts who have been part of the fire department? What are some of the experience that you will say that's stands out for you a wee bit from this season in particular?
GT, there are several takeaways, from this year's dry season. One is the whole idea of building community support groups.
Yes.
Especially for areas that are affected by bushfires. It's our intention to work in those areas so we could build resilience in those areas. So we could have groups of persons who can, assist in combating fires when they occur. 2, to strengthen our volunteer corps.
Yeah.
There is a volunteer fire brigade, and it is our intention to strengthen the volunteer corps so we could have a stronger cadre of persons to assist.
All right.
Some of the innovations that members of the public use. People employed leaf blowers and so forth, and weed eaters and so forth. So we are looking at those directions so we could acquire those equipment. So going forward, we will have the necessary equipment to combat those fires.
Okay.
The dynamics of the environment, and for example, some of our team members only saw spontaneous ignition in theater then.
Yes.
In the Mount Morris fire in recent times. The grass in Mount Morris is slightly different in some compared to other areas in the island. And the fuel, as we define in firefighting, is anything that will burn. The grass is a cane grass, so they are much easier to ignite.
Okay.
And once the fire starts and the wind is blowing towards the direction, pushing the flames and the heat from the flames to the direction of the dry leaves, they will spontaneously ignite. So there is something we're calling firefighting situational awareness. And firefighters have to be aware of their location at times, because you could just get caught up in spontaneous ignition, especially in cane grass fires and stuff like that. Persons see it in real.
Yes.
You understand? So they could speak of their experience. Just as how other officers could speak of their experience, climbing up a slope and then slide. You're coming down on your bottom and you go up there to deal with the fire.
Yeah.
And you have to slide and your buttocks come down. You understand? Because there is nothing for you to hold.
Yes.
To climb up that slope, and you wondering how you're going up there. Sometimes you climb the slope and you have to use your own intuition. To negotiate the fire. Sometimes you have to just use your hand to move the fuel itself to create that fire-free area. Because sometimes based on how the land surface and how the trees are planted, it is difficult for you to use, let's say, a fork or a MacLeod or a cutlass or something in those areas. So you just basically have to use that.
All right.
You understand? So it was a learning experience, and there are several takeaways that the fire department will take, will add to our toolbox so we can better improve our operations going forward. Concerning
the dangers involved, how concerning is that for you? And the fire department?
You only see the danger when you're exposed to it. Like Mr. Stafford mentioned, persons frantically calling and say the fire is close to the house.
Yeah.
You only know the danger when it's close to you. For us as firefighters, each time we go there is a risk.
Yes.
We may not come back. Sometimes the report is of a bush fire, but you don't know what is hidden within the bushes. We had revolution once upon a time.
Yeah.
And we had persons fleeing into different areas and probably disposing of different
explosive material
devices and so forth.
Yes.
That can happen in some of the wildfire environment, but thank God we haven't had that since in our operations. You could have trees and other things falling on persons. Firefighter could get his leg broke during operation, or probably he might be responding in a vehicle accident. You understand? But we are conscious of the risk, and we take all the necessary mitigating factors to reduce them to as low as reasonable possible.
All right. Let's get into some statistics this morning as it relates to fires for this particular season, and maybe in comparison to 2023 to 2024. If you could lay those statistics out for us, please.
Okay, all right. Here is a statistic for the period January to May 2024 as compared to the same period, January to May 2023. Most prevalent, we had 135 bushfires. for January to May 2024, whereas in January to May 2023 we had only 79.
Okay.
We see there we had an increase by 70.89%.
Yeah.
Right? For the period January to May 2024, we have 50 rubbish fire, whereas for that same period for 2023, we had 31, where we saw an increase by 61.20.
Okay.
For other fires such as bamboo stool shed, we had 30 for that period, January to May 2024, whereas for that same period for 2023, we had 18, where we had a 40% increase.
Okay.
Dwelling house fire for the period 2024, January to May, we had 23, whereas that same period for 2023, we had 19, we had an increase by 21.5%.
Okay.
For false calls, right? For that same period, January to May 2024, we had 19 false calls, whereas for that same period, 2023, we had 5.
Yeah.
We had an increase of 280%.
Okay.
For vehicle fire, we had 7 for that period, January to May 2024, and for that same period for 2023, we had 10. We saw that we had a decrease by 30%. Business house fire for the period January to May 2024, we had 1, whereas for that same period for 2023, we had 5. We had a decrease by 80%. For the period January to May 2024, we had 1 vehicular accident, whereas last year, 2023, for that same period, we had 9. So we saw there was a decrease by 88.98%.
Okay.
And last but not least, electrical fire. We had 1 for the period January to May 2024, whereas for that same period, 2023, we had 6. We are seeing we had a decrease by 88.33%.
All right. I have a concern, and I hope you could give me an answer for it. In terms of the false calls you hear, I hear you mention. Why do people get into that? I mean, it's a bit of a setback for the department for some way or the other. It's a concern. I'm sure you may have some reason to be concerned why individuals may want to do that as it relates to that. I mean, is it just pure idleness, if you just want to say, what are the reasons or concerns you have as relates to that?
For no reason at all. People will just sit and call the fire department and report a false call. Report a fire in an area that they know is on. There is no fire. They just call and they report, and they expect the fire department to respond, to which we does. However, it is not a good practice. When you call and you give false information to the police, and we have to deploy resources to that particular location, what if a real situation occur, a real emergency occur, involving another dwelling, or probably a business space or a vehicle? We'll have to redeploy. We'll have to go to the location, make an assessment to determine what is the situation. And if there is no fire there, we'll have to redeploy resources elsewhere. For us in St. George's, we have 2 vehicles, so we could dispatch 1 team here, and if another call comes, we can dispatch another team to a location. However, let's look at Grenville and St. Patrick's and Grove and so forth, where we have 1 unit.
Yeah.
I understand. What we really encouraging people is to desist from making false reports to the police.
All right.
You know, it is not good practice, not best practice. In fact, it is a criminal offense. Yes?
All right.
There is a maximum fine of $5,000 under the Electronic Crimes Act in relation to same. Let me just refer to my notes here. All right. It says a person who contravenes subsection 1, subsection 2 commits an offense and liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $5,000 or a term of imprisonment not exceeding 6 months or both. All right, so that's under the Electronic Crimes Act, right?
All right.
Part 15, section 2, part 15, right? 15.1 says a person shall not make, call, to any law enforcement authority or emergency service with the purpose of giving false or misleading information.
All right. From investigation, do you have it? Is it more of a children playing around, or is there at times when adults themselves are involved in this particular false calls?
Most of the calls are basically from adults.
From adults?
Yes, from adults. And
I would have thought differently.
It's our intention.
I would have thought differently. Maybe youngsters playing around with the phone or something of the sort. But you saying adults, that's a bit concerning, right?
It is our intention to use all available resources to investigate and have those persons brought to justice.
All right. Let's get into our conversation of fire prevention right now. As you know, we hear you spoke about all the situation that's occurred thus far, and I know there are individuals who are listening to us right now want to say, well, they may not even know ways in which they could, prevent fires from occurring themselves. Let's get some fire prevention information or tidbits if you want to share it with us this morning.
Fire prevention is a science.
Yeah.
Yes, just as how firefighting is a science. And one must be able to prevent. To prevent something, you must be educated.
Okay.
And education is of paramount importance to prevent fires. One, you must understand fire, the dynamics of fires, how fire spread, how fire grows, contributing factors that as heat transfer, right, and so forth. You must understand that. You must understand combustible and flammable materials. You understand? So those are the basic things that you must understand. For homeowners and business persons, there are several things you can do at your home to prevent fires from occurring. Mm-hmm. I will ask Sylvester to just...
I'll probably share some more details on that first.
Okay, so for homeowners and commercial business places, majority of the times in a home, fire will be caused, either electrical fires or cooking.
Yeah.
You're cooking and you leave it unattended. So for electrical fires, what one can do, they can always check, do probably a rewind or have a technician come in and inspect, make sure there's no broken wires and stuff like that. And also, we have a practice. We would lay carpets on the ground and we would pass wires beneath the carpet, and that's fuel.
Yeah.
With electricity, that can easily cause a fire. So these are some of the practices we need to stop. Also, fans, phone chargers. We keep this thing plugged in for long periods of time.
Unattended for a period of time.
Yes. Yeah. Overloading sockets. These are practices, that can cause an electrical fire very easy. Microwave, using the appropriate material inside there. You have some persons, they don't know better, and they would put foil in a microwave, which can cause a reaction and also cause it to explode and cause a fire. Cooking. We have gadgets now, phones and stuff like that. You have your pot on fire. You would take a walk, you get a call, that soup burning and you're not even smelling it because the conversation is sweet. So, these are the things we have to pay mind to and cease from doing.
Yeah.
Curtains, where you place your stove and stuff like that. A lot of people love long curtains and they would break the window a little bit and the wind is blowing, pot on fire, curtain catch.
Okay.
Easily. You have your home on fire.
All right.
Yeah, so these are some of the things, you have to cease from. Also, you have children in your home and you have matches, lighters, in areas where they can easily reach it. And children, for some reason, they love fire. They love to take matches and lighters and light easily. It, and they try new stuff, not knowing the danger of it. So it's always good to store your matches and your lighters in an area that is safe from children, higher where they cannot reach and stuff like that. Also, you have persons who practice coming home and smoking in the house.
Yeah.
You know, they would lay down smoking, fall asleep. Sometimes they finish smoke and they would just throw the board on the floor. You know, you have carpets and stuff like that. Sometimes you fall asleep, you fall on the bed. You know, that can easily cause a fire. So to prevent these things and them, you know, you have a safe place where you could, when you finish smoke, you put it in a cup deep enough so that it cannot spread or you know, get in contact with any fuel to cause combustion. Also, with electrical appliances, it's also important to, if you live in your home, you know you won't be there for a couple hours, you have your radio on, your TV on, you know, you cut it off, you unplug it, because you could have an electrical surge, and that could cause certain parts to catch a fire and stuff like that, and you not being there, you won't know what's going on. The breaker could trip, but sometimes the material that is burning in there would continue burning and spread.
Okay. All right. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we invite all, of course, our listeners. If you want to chime in on the conversation, probably a question or two you may like to ask the officers this morning, feel free to do so when we come back after break. Stay with us to the point here on Classic Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for Grenada to laugh again. Heritage Theatre presents Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024, Saturday, June 22nd and Sunday, 23rd June at the Trade Center in Grandance, and on Sunday, 30th June at the Deluxe Cinema in Grenville. Showtime, 7 p.m. every time, featuring some of Grenada's best ambassadors of comedy. Robert White.
I'll line up behind the yellow for 9 elections straight. I changed for 9 times to lose the last election. Why? Because I'm always on the losing side.
Dillion Walters.
It's the McQueen I couldn't take. I don't tell Molly didn't know.
Kareem Alexis and other outstanding comedic performances, all coming to knock you off your seats with laughter. Get your tickets now. Bring out the entire family. Tickets are $60. It's time for Spice Laugh Comedy Bash 2024.
The place go flood with laughter.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of.
Well, focus. Cricket, lovely cricket, as we bring you ball by ball commentaries of the T20 World Cup. The Cut and Drive Network, in association with this radio station, are pleased to be a part of the excitement. Join me, Andrew Mason, as I lead a team of top-class cricket commentators right through to the finals on June the 29th at the historic Kensington Oval. Cricket, lovely cricket, on this radio station. You got a date. So don't be late.
This moment is all that I've been dreaming of.
Well, focus.
Coming up, it's a summer of style as top designers and their creations hit the catwalk with a Caribbean twist. The World Cup has rolled into town with on-field excitement and beyond-the-boundary thrills in Trinidad and Tobago. Getting married? Honeymooning? Barbados is your top option for an eventful experience. It's Caribbean Passport, right here on this station.
Box we say, yeah. GBN we say, arts and culture living, yeah. Rock the box we say, I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say, I'm telling you, rock the box, rock the box, rock the box we say, we'll be jamming here on a Thursday. It's a
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Those of you via social media platforms, good morning and welcome once again. We do have a caller in this segment. Let's take our first caller. Say, caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yes, good morning to you once again, GK. And how are you today?
Doing well. How are you this morning?
I'm okay. I'm doing well. And good morning to your guests. I guess I'm to talking fire and farming. But briefly, I don't want to take much time, but briefly, as a farmer, I don't know if the officers do realize the tediousness of farming, and if you have to take down a forest to do some farming, what it entails, and what do you do with the things that you take down. You have to take down 3 acres of land, 2 acres of land. What do you do with the debris? How do you get rid of the debris? Because if you're going to spread this, you take all. If you're going to push it aside, it's a whole different matter to push it aside. So I think what we need to do here, when I hear prosecution, is dialogue and guidance. Because if you had to burn a bamboo stool, if you have to cut down a bamboo stool, large bamboo stool, it take you days and weeks. And that is what is overtaking the place now, bamboo and bocano. If the farmer have to get back into the farming, what do he do? So technically we might be shutting down. I know there is people who doesn't want to hear anything about farmer, but as a long time farmer, I know everything about that. I do a lot of burnings in the past, controlled burn, and never had an accident. So I think what we need to do is to guide the farmers. The people who want to burn, guide them, look at what they have to do, and advise them, rather than go the fast track, putting them to court, and then eventually, they bring me to court. That's what is done with farming. Because farming is not easy, it's tedious, yeah? And so I think this have to be relooked. And for those people who doesn't like to see smoke, I could give you a history of what smoke does, what the heat does to the land, but that's for another matter. So I am saying here control, guidance, but I'm saying less and prosecution, because you go into a different territory where you go shut down the farming sector, and that's not what we want to do. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you, caller. We hear from that caller as relates to farming, and he's a little bit off. It was leading to our next segment of question in terms of the offences that could the individual could be a charge for, just in case they burn. Any response to the caller first, and then you probably could give us some information on the offences that can occur for farm with burning.
Let me first say thanks to the caller for calling. You raise a very interesting point. However, it is not the intention of the fire department to prevent persons from farming. However, there are laws in place that seeks to regulate the setting of fires on agricultural land. Not too sure if the caller is aware of it, right? There is the Agricultural Fires Act. It seeks to regulate the setting of fires on land that is used for agricultural purposes. Land that is used for agricultural purposes, land that is being prepared for agricultural purposes. Okay. So, in that case, the caller is speaking about, the person who is so desirous of setting fire on land shall apply to the Ministry of Agriculture, the Extension Division, for a license to do so. Yes, and the Ministry of Agriculture, they will cause an inspection to be carried out on the land. They will send a competent person to do so. Okay. And they will determine whether burning is necessary or not. If the person apply in writing or in person and didn't receive a reply from the Ministry of Agriculture within 10 days, they are at liberty to set the fire. Okay. Right, and so they would not be prosecuted under the Agricultural Fires Act if the fire were to get out of control and damage other person's property. But they will be subsequently prosecuted, most likely probably under the Use of Fire Act, which says that person who intends to set fire must give notice to persons and so forth. Okay. That's Section 147. Right? However, once you apply and the Ministry of Agriculture grants you the license, they will give you the terms and conditions in which you go ahead and set fires. Normally the license for a period of 2 weeks. So if rain falls during that 2 weeks period, then you'll have to reapply for a license. Okay. Yes. There is a fine under the Agricultural Fires Act, which is $500 or imprisonments for 3 months. Okay. So it's a small fine. Yeah. Yes. However, I want the members of the public and our friends of the farming community to be aware of the Agricultural Fires Act. It seeks to regulate the setting of fires in agriculture, and we just can't have people just burning indiscriminately and the fire get out of control and you call the fire service to respond. We have a responsibility to control our fires. You might set fire and probably might spread to somebody else's land, resulting in damage to their cultivated property and so forth. So we must be our brother's keeper, and we must practice good farming practices and also fire prevention in our lands, as to prevent the fire from spreading from our property to someone else's property.
All right, great. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Yeah, morning, DT, and morning to your esteemed guests in the studio, and morning to your listeners and your viewers. You know, DT, sometimes I wonder where our consciousness is. I was glad when the officer, I think the senior one, was talking and he was linking the ecosystems. Some people, unfortunately, look at land as their space. But land is not just space. Land is a community of beings, and everything is connected. So if there are those who feel they can burn because they want to do economic development and grow the economy, then, I mean, they have to go in a different world. It has been established that some of the practices have been done over the years that we thought was okay is not okay. Because when you burn, you destroy the earthworm, and the officer said earlier on that you could even cause erosion and slippage and that kind of thing. So we have to much as possible. And then we are championing ourselves as climate change champions. Now, one of the ways you can assist in averting global warming is to sequester carbon. And you do that not by burning, by letting the material rot over time. Anyway, one of the things I was going to say, first of all, is that the officers are making a great contribution this morning, but I'm afraid that the people will need to hear what they're saying and not even listening, to say the least. So we need to find a way to find out to get people to understand that we all have levels of responsibility in helping to ensure that we manage and preserve the environment, and also health and safety when it comes to fire. People want to do anything they want in this place. It's ridiculous. And justifying it, whether it's squatting and putting buildings over the place and saying they want to make a living and so on. We need to have order in this place. Finally, I think, and the officer emphasized the connection between agriculture and so the Ministry. I think we need to bring in the Ministry of Health now, factor in, and the Ministry of Education to be part of the whole process to help people to understand that when they burn indiscriminately, they're affecting other people and other creatures. We can't allow things to happen how it has been over the years. A lot of people have died. Their lungs collapse because a neighbor feel they can burn as they want. We have to stop that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Any response to the caller's contribution this morning? Any response to that?
Some strong points.
Very
points coming
strong
from
points.
That caller there. We appreciate your comments, and we hope a lot of people can, examine the contents of your contribution and look at it in a different angle. Right. We are not against the farming community. We want to work with you. And the people who go about burning indiscriminately, think about the effects it causes to other persons who have respiratory illnesses and so forth. Ever so often they will have to get medical checkup and so forth. So we want to ensure that as fast as possible we could reduce the persons burning and so forth. We know we will never get there, but at least we could have a reduction.
Okay, great. We do have another caller. Caller. Good morning. Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings and greetings to your guests.
Good morning to you, sir.
I just joined your conversation, but how important these points that I'm hearing within the last 8 minutes of my arrival here. And I just thought I'd chime in, piggybacking on the last corner. Mr. Telesford, this issue related to burning in household areas, in residential areas, anyway, burning of anything, including plastics, because you smell the difference. Well, I smell the difference between them. Mr. Telesford, Grenadians, this is a principally primordial a public health issue. Just a couple of minutes ago, somebody mentioned about people, the lungs collapse. When we respire this smoke that we feel have nothing in it, it's killing us. Thousands of people die in this here country as a result of organ failure because of respiring of more than PM 2.5, which is the control limit for what the human being should. This thing that we smoke, we smell, we inhale, it goes into the lungs, into the bloodstream, Mr. Telesford. This is purely a public health matter and it has to be combated. This issue with the Ministry of Agriculture granting license to kill people because that's what it is. It has to end. That is why I promulgate from here on to hell and to wherever I go that we have to change this pit latrine pamphlet of an imperial order and council of the King's most excellent majesty that is ruining the people of this here country. It's time to end it. Have a nice day, Williams.
Thank you, sir. Have a great morning yourself. Good morning, good morning, good morning once again. And we're hearing from another caller and his concerns as related to smoke, you know.
Smoke pollution, is something that affects almost everybody. That's why under Section 147 of the Use of Fires Act, it says that each person who intends to set fire or cause fire to be set shall give notice to neighbors in charge or in possession of property which might be damaged or destroyed if improperly used.
Okay.
You must give persons notice so they can take the necessary precautions to prevent damage to the property and to protect the health.
And I'm assuming that information is also given out in terms of when people apply for permission. That information is also given out.
That is also given out.
Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
You know, as I told you already, I always appreciate you as a man who guides your program. Now, we in Grenada and other parts of the world, a lot of us have a vague idea of the word education. If we've been educated the right way, we would never burn. For the simple reason that burning affects nearly every creature. I don't know if we consider man a creature. Every creature living, as even the soil, it destroys certain substance in the soil. Yes, certain crops may do well, but the others that come after it would never do well because certain crops need certain substance from the soil. Now, when you burn, you would like to get a good production in a certain type of crop. Now, as far as some people enjoy seeing fire, so they light fire as a means to get some enjoyment, as some people are trigger happy, or gun happy then. They shoot at anything they see because they enjoy shooting. They enjoy fighting. This is the problem with us. We don't want to take anything that is good. We do not want to take it. We do not want to take education because some people are saying, even me, I know I'm not educated. I'm not educated. What I'm saying, they even know. This is them. Many could criticize, but few can do better. These people that are on the NO are doing a very good job. I don't want to say that some of my pedigree. You should guess what I mean by pedigree. That's the type of pedigree I come on from. We are reasonably educated. I don't want to blow my own trumpet. But the person who is talking. And we have to take things from those who know. In fact, let me end there. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Officers, we're getting to that stage of the morning when we get to wrap our show for today. Closing contributions from anyone? Anyone going to take a closing contribution this morning? That's final bits and pieces to throw to our listening and viewing audience. Let them know. Of course, we spoke a lot about the causes. We talk about prevention. We also talk about the offences and so forth. And we had contributions from callers. Anything in closing?
Well, I just want to add some fire safety tips.
Yeah, sure.
In case you discover a fire, person should stay calm. Well, most time that even though a fire occurs, you will panic. Of course, you will panic, but you need to, cool down so that you can have better judgment. You alert others in the building. For instance, if there is a fire in the kitchen, you shout fire, kitchen, you let them know and then you evacuate.
Okay.
You call 911 immediately to report the fire. You then, once you evacuate to safety, if the fire is small and you can contain it, then you can. But if that fire is spreading, you don't try to contain it. You leave it for the professionals.
Okay.
Right? In case there is smoke or there is fire and there's a lot of smoke, what you could do, you cover your nose and mouth because, as you say, we don't want to breathe in any toxic substances. And we crawl low to get out of the room. We go down. A lot of people maybe not aware of that. You go down and you crawl low and get out of the room, get out of the building.
All right.
You do not re-enter the building for whatever reason. A lot of people may feel like they have the passport, they have stuff, important things in there, and they may want to go back to get it, right? So you don't go back in the building until the help arrives.
Okay. All right, great. Any closing contribution from you, officer?
Well, I would just like to say to the public, remember there's rules in place for burning and stuff like that, and if we follow it, then we won't have to go through certain things.
Okay.
No one would have to be charged or be in law enforcement hands if we follow the procedures we need to follow and go accordingly.
All right.
Just safe practices and try our best to be on the right path.
Okay. Inspector, anything in closing?
In closing, GT, I want to thank you for hosting us this morning, and also thank the personnel from the Community Relations Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force for giving us this opportunity this morning to be here to speak on the subject matter. To the general public, fires are dangerous. Take all the necessary precautions to prevent them. If you don't know what to do, contact the fire station closest to you. We are more than willing to give you guidance in that regard.
All right. Also, I want to thank you, officers, for being here this morning on the program. Thanks for popping by and sharing the necessary information. Certainly hope our listening and viewing audience this morning with a heed to the various information that was disbursed to them this morning. And have a good day to everyone.
Thank you.
Right. Hey, folks, that's where we take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Join me again tomorrow, once the Almighty permits. Have for another edition of To The Point. That's where I say goodbye.